Everything the Democrats are throwing at Donald Trump right now is not working. After watching this video, you have a better understanding of how they're using lawfare and how the American people are seeing right through it, regardless of race. Hey guys, my name's Jason Wesley, and this is not a podcast. Okay, first it was the PP tape funded by the Hillary Clinton campaign about Donald Trump and Russian prostitutes on a bed that Obama slept in. And oddly enough, R. Kelly has nothing to do with this story.
Russians had so-called, I can't believe I'm saying this, golden showers tape, a golden shower tape involving prostitutes.
I mean, it is incredible that we're having this conversation about half the time about golden showers and half the time about a second federal criminal investigation of the president.
There are people who think the tape exists, the infamous compromise tape referred to in the dossier.
Donald Trump didn't seem to care much about Russian election meddling, but cared a lot about Russian prostitutes and that other thing.
The word of the day in America this morning, for several different reasons, is leaks.
I got that. That dossier alleged that Russians had a so-called P-tape.
Here it is, the spectacular presidential suite at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Moscow, where that unsubstantiated report claims Donald Trump engaged in perverted acts with prostitutes.
The president said that it bothered him if there was even a 1% chance that Melania thought it was true, meaning the allegations in that tape about the stuff in the hotel room in Russia.
All of that led to a 3-year Mueller investigation, which turned out to be a big goose egg.
That's your headline. Report, no collusion.
The Russia investigation is finally over. The news caught many people by surprise.
This is a win for this president who, for now 2 years, has essentially been screaming there was no Russia collusion. He is backed up by Mueller.
The results are in. And take a look at the headlines from the Washington Post to the New York Post. They're what the president wanted.
The president has just been exonerated. I mean, can we just take a step back and focus on the fact that this is a nearly 2-year investigation that has swirled around the president since day one of his presidency, and he has just been exonerated.
Robert Mueller gave a very clear answer, and that was that there was no collusion.
And it is, in fairness, what the president has been saying.
This was what all the questions surrounded the president. Did he obstruct justice? They just cleared him.
This is a huge win, hands down, black and white, for President Trump.
Democrats attacked President Trump with a phone call to Ukrainian President Zelensky inquiring about corruption in Ukraine, saying that Trump was holding back aid to Ukraine to help himself politically, even though Trump released the transcript immediately. And we also know that other intelligence officials were on the call as well. And we later found out that the whistleblower wasn't even on the phone call, but he had second-hand information.
The first whistleblower who sparked the impeachment inquiry did not have direct knowledge of the phone call between President Trump and Ukraine's president.
Even though we have Biden on tape admitting to a quid pro quo, holding up foreign aid to Ukraine if the prosecutor, Viktor Shokin, who is the prosecutor investigating Burisma, the energy and gas company Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, was on the board of, even though he had no experience.
I guess the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired. And they put in place someone who was solid at the time.
And then when they found evidence of corruption on Hunter's laptop, the story was suppressed at the behest of the Democrats, and over 50 former FBI officials signed a letter saying that it was Russian intelligence.
Look, there are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plant. They have said that this has all the 5 former heads of the CIA, both parties, say what he's saying is a bunch of garbage. Nobody believes it except his and his good friend Rudy Giuliani.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
And that's exactly what.
This is where he's going. The laptop is Russia.
Gentlemen,
Russia.
I want to stay on the issue of race.
You have to be kidding. Here we go again with Russia.
Biden's secret emails.
A really fishy story.
The Post claimed that the emails were found on a laptop computer that was brought to a repair shop in Delaware in the spring of 2019.
The FBI is now investigating whether those alleged Hunter Biden emails are actually connected to a larger foreign intelligence operation.
They may be related to a foreign intelligence operation.
Foreign intelligence operation.
Foreign intelligence.
Foreign intelligence.
Foreign intelligence operation.
For all we know, these emails are made up.
The information found on the laptop may be part of a Russian disinformation campaign.
Part of a Russian disinformation effort.
Described by many intelligence experts as having hallmarks,
All the hallmarks
of a Russian
disinformation.
Russian
disinformation campaign.
And the White House would never comment on it, claiming that Hunter Biden was a citizen. He wasn't a part of the U.S. government.
Was the White House informed in advance that Hunter Biden would be showing up at the House Oversight Committee's hearing on Capitol Hill today?
So here's what I'll say, and I've said this many times before. Hunter, as you all know, is a private citizen. He's not a member of this White House. He makes his own decisions, like he did today, about how to respond to Congress. And so I would refer you any further questions, any additional questions about this process, certainly I refer you to Hunter's representatives.
They said there was no evidence. Even though we've got Hunter Biden's receipt, even though we've got text messages from Hunter Biden to foreign officials saying that his father was sitting right next to him, pressuring them to do business deals.
No, I wasn't, and I don't know. Were you? No.
IRS Supervisory Agent Gary Shapley, now a whistleblower, told lawmakers he obtained WhatsApp messages he says were sent by Hunter Biden. He says Hunter Biden used his father as leverage to pressure a Chinese businessman into paying him. Quote, "I'm sitting here with my father, and we would like to understand why the commitment made has not been fulfilled," adding, "You will regret not following my direction."
If this was any other person, they likely would have already served their sentence.
I'm sitting here with my father. I will make certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person he knows and my ability to forever hold a grudge, that you will regret not following my direction. I am sitting here waiting for the call with my father. Sounds like a shakedown, doesn't it, Director?
I'm not going to get into commenting on that.
You seem deeply uncurious about it, don't you? Almost suspiciously uncurious. Are you protecting the Bidens?
Then Biden and the Democrats used lawfare to attack Trump and his associates as well as his family.
We'd sell a martini at one of our hotels. Somebody would walk in off the street. We'd sell a martini at one of our hotels to somebody from overseas, and they'd bring us to the Supreme Court saying, we violated the emoluments clause of the U.S. Constitution. Yet you have a kid out there who takes drugs, who does, glorified finger painting, and he sells it to all sorts of people for, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars because, art's subjective in terms of value as opposed to real estate, which is not. This is the games that these corrupt people play. And you're right. My father has lost billions of dollars based on this endeavor, and he doesn't give a damn because he wants to save this country. I mean, this country's given him everything. It's given our family absolutely everything. And he just doesn't care. If I could break out the amount of legal fees that we've spent just defending against absolute nonsense, 110 subpoenas that I talked to you about a second ago.
Then Democrats tried to kick Trump off the ballot in several different states.
This is news just breaking into us in the last couple of minutes. Groups of voters now in 2 more states, in both Illinois and Massachusetts, are now filing motions to try to get former President Trump off their 2024 primary ballots.
Top of the newscast, the Supreme Court handed Donald Trump a major victory today, barring states from disqualifying candidates for federal office. The case involving, of course, the state of Colorado attempting to take Trump off the ballot. Other states following suit, including Illinois.
They tried to attack Trump, saying that he took and mishandled classified documents, even though Biden was caught actually mishandling classified documents, with documents that were found spread out over multiple locations, different states, his garage, the Penn Biden Center.
All right, so there were 3 places, those 3 places classified information was at. Is that fair to say?
That's correct. The initial transition office, immediately after the end of the vice presidency, the Penn Biden Center's temporary office, and then the Penn Biden Center's permanent office.
Okay, so those, and then you had the University of Delaware Library, the University of Delaware Biden Center, right? So that's 5 total. And then you had multiple places in his home.
Correct.
The garage, the den, the office upstairs, and the office downstairs.
Correct.
So what is that? That's like 9 different places.
I've lost count, sir, but
yeah,
that sounds right.
It's everywhere. And it was documents over a 50-year time frame. And then by comparison, because the Democrats want to keep comparing to President Trump's classified documents right at his home. With Secret Service protection. I don't know that they're anywhere else, were they?
I'm not aware of other locations, President.
Yeah.
And it turns out the Biden White House is working with the National Archives, and there's credible evidence now that the FBI may have altered the evidence.
In Florida, we learned that Jack Smith altered the order of the classified documents he seized. The physical documents don't match up with the scanned documents. Jack Smith didn't properly handle the documents he said President Trump didn't properly handle. Jack Smith mishandled classified information, all while charging President Trump with, quote, mishandling classified information. You can't make this up. Someone call that tampering with evidence.
You had the AG in New York, Letitia James, run her entire campaign on going after Trump.
I say one name, Donald Trump. That should motivate you. Get off your ass and vote.
Will you sue him for us?
Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the ass. He's going to know my name personally.
I love it. He probably does already.
He built his wealth off the backs of New Yorkers.
We need to focus on Donald Trump and his abuses. We need to follow his money. We need to find out where he's laundered money. All of those transactions have happened here in New York City. Tell this president and every other individual that no one is above the law.
Individuals who care about, again, going after Donald Trump, this illegitimate government president of the United States. Individuals who care that he has colluded and that he's violated the emoluments clause. And that basically all that he stands for is in violation of our values and who we are as a people and as a society. And so individuals who care about this country and who care about our rights and who care about, again, immigrants who are hiding right now, we've got to make some noise. We've got to let our voices know. And what we need is someone who's going to take the fight to White House at the same time representing the interests of New York. Her name is Letitia James.
Running for Attorney General because I will never be afraid to challenge this illegitimate president when our fundamental rights are at stake. A legal system where even the most powerful in the country cannot use a loophole to evade justice. We must do our job to ensure that the man currently occupying the Oval Office is held accountable to any and everything he has done.
But that's not how actual justice works. You have a crime and then you search for the criminal. You don't have a citizen and then you search to see if they did something. That'd be like being in a relationship with somebody and they're going through your text messages, they're going through your social media just to check to see if maybe you said something to somebody else. Whether you did or didn't, they're gonna find something. Letitia James went after him for $450 million in a civil fraud case where there was no victim saying that he overvalued his real estate.
In the case of a $500 million asset, maybe you get $250 million and you build a new building with a construction finance loan. And so that's what this case is all about. And by the way, forget about Trump. Every single real estate developer everywhere on earth does this. They always talk about their asset being worth a lot, and the bank says no. And that's just the way it is. In this case, when I'm trying to figure out, and I'm not pro or con, or I don't care about the politics, who lost money? Nobody. The bank got paid back the construction finance loan, and a new building was built. And if you're going to sue this case and win, you got to sue every real estate developer everywhere. This is all they do. This is what they do all day long, every day. So I don't think this thing will ever survive appeal, regardless of what the fine is. This doesn't even make sense. Now, look, I know Trump's got a lot of problems in other indictments and everything else, but this, if you're a real estate developer, you're watching this, you're saying, what is this? This is ridiculous.
The banks never claimed to be defrauded by Trump, and he paid back all the loans, but that didn't matter. And now Democrats want to tie Trump up in court and have him in jail prior to the election in 2024, which is clear election interference. And now even MSNBC is recognizing that these cases aren't going anywhere prior to the election.
Delay in Florida, delayed indefinitely. Now Georgia. It has been a rough few days for Jack Smith and Fani Willis. Mark, do you think we are going to see any progress here before the election and after the election? Do you think these trials are ever going to happen?
Well, I don't know. But I mean, the key question is anything going to happen before the election? And I think the answer is no. The days of magical legal thinking are over. The cavalry is not coming. The legal cavalry is not coming to the rescue of Joe Biden.
Mark, do you have a sense of how long it's going to take to get this to trial?
Well, that is the $64,000 question, right? I think the legal strategy of the Trump team is going to be to delay to get this past the 2024 election. It's in Trump's interest to do so because obviously if he could prevail in the election, the federal cases at least go away. He'll be in charge of the Justice Department. There will be a lot of pretrial motions. So there are a lot of factors that will come to play. But don't expect this to be going to trial anytime soon, no matter what Jack Smith says for a speedy trial.
And now we have the Stormy Daniels hush money case that no one cares about. And I don't even think they know what they're charging Trump with.
Arguing that this is a falsification of documents and they want to bump it up to a felony. What's the underlying crime here? What is that rule?
I'm assuming it's New York election law, conspiracy to promote an election by unlawful means.
And the judge. How come we don't know that at this point?
Well, Judge Steinglass said that earlier, not in front of the jury, and this was like a week ago. So I don't know why it wasn't said in opening statements.
And apparently Stormy Daniels speaks to dead people.
This was very much what I'd call a nuts and sluts defense. There was a portion of the cross-examination where Susan Neckles was focused on the fact that Stormy Daniels now claims that she is a medium and that she communicates with dead people and has participated in a TV series about the paranormal where she explores things, including the fact that at one point an ex-boyfriend of hers was inhabited by spirits.
And now she's changing up her story to be a victim. Even Bill Maher brings receipts on this.
First, I asked her why she had sex with Trump. Listen to that, and then listen to what she says after that, and then we're going to talk about the trial, because it's quite at variance of what she said to me in 2018. Why did you Donald Trump? Okay, but you say it's not a Me Too case.
It is not a Me Too case. I mean, I wasn't assaulted. I wasn't attacked or raped or coerced or blackmailed. They tried to shove me in the Me Too box to further their own agenda. And first of all, I didn't want any part of that because it's not the truth, and I'm not a victim in that regard.
That's not what she's saying now. She's talking about he was bigger and blocking the way. It's all the Me Too buzzwords. She said there was a imbalance of power, for sure. My hands were shaking so hard. She said she blacked out. Blacked out? She's a porn star.
Here's The View.
It's just his word against her word, right? And so now, does he testify? I doubt that. But does the jury believe her? And that it was all about credibility, and that's why Trump's lawyers were hammering her and hammering her and hammering her. But you know, if you listen to some of the reporters in the courtroom, they're like, she seemed pretty believable. She seemed pretty credible.
The American people can see what he is. He's a despicable person, and we have to remember that.
Yeah.
And, and the evangelicals, I agree with one more thing. The evangelicals are doubling down on him. They like him even more than they used to like him. And I was reading today that they cite the Bible for this. Yes.
Now, I'm not saying that Donald Trump is the best human being or he needs to be your leader or he's the solutions to every problem that you have. But the real threat to democracy, in my opinion, are the Democrats and Swampy Republicans that just want power and control. They're afraid of Donald Trump winning the next election, and nothing they're throwing at him is sticking.
Few people think January 6th was any kind of what it was, is an assault on the temple of democracy, the Constitution. I don't know what you want to say. It's going the wrong way. It's not working. Everything that we're throwing is spaghetti at a wall, and none of it is sticking, me included.
James Carville with a fun, colorful shirt expressing his displeasure at the fact that Democratic voters and voters in general don't seem to be reacting or responding well to some of the campaigning coming from President Joe Biden. They're throwing everything they can at it. Nothing will stick.
It's hard when you start in your 80th year, and you know, like anybody else, I have an opinion of myself, and the opinion I've come to is I don't matter. It doesn't matter. You can prepare, you can be on TV, or you can write pieces, you can have a YouTube channel, you can have a podcast, and nothing. And you know, we gotta try to think of something different, because what we're doing is really, really not working.
He's up in almost every poll, and he's winning the Black and Hispanic vote in record numbers, like no other president in U.S. history. Here's left-leaning Axios. Former President Trump leads in 5 of 6 key swing states in New York Times Siena College polls out Monday morning. Why it matters? Trump's strength is largely thanks to gains among young Black and Hispanic voters, and the Young Turks are admitting it as well.
Despite all of the negative coverage in regard to Donald Trump's rhetoric and in some cases policies toward Black and Latino voters, fact of the matter is he has been just increasing his support more and more. Every poll shows that he is getting more support among Black and Latino voters. In fact, there was an analysis done on this very issue in the Washington Post where they took the average of the 5 top quality polls on the issue, and here's what they found. Multiple polls in recent weeks have shown Trump performing historically well among Black and Hispanic voters in head-to-head matchups with Biden, helping put him neck and neck with Biden in a way he rarely was during their 2020 matchup. On a micro level, there are a lot of Americans who don't feel the economy is doing great things for them. They don't feel that, they're thriving in this economy of high interest rates, inflation when it comes to housing, inflation when it comes to groceries, their wages and salaries not keeping up with inflation. Like, all of these things obviously negatively impact the perception voters have of the person who's currently in charge, and that person is Joe Biden. Over the weekend, Donald Trump was campaigning in New Jersey, which is, it's a Democratic stronghold, right? And he's managed to draw in a massive crowd of people. There was a local official there who spoke to the Associated Press and said somewhere between 80 to 100,000 people showed up to that rally. Biden was vacationing over the weekend. And look, I'm not saying this because I'm like, ooh, that's my boy, Donald Trump. I'm saying it because, guys, if you're a Democratic voter and you're worried, A, you should be worried. B, don't get mad at me. Get mad at the Democrats for, again, running an awful campaign.
The conspiracy theories that people were concerned about during the last election seems to be actually coming true, from concerns about lockdowns to vaccinations.
The AstraZeneca COVID vaccine is being withdrawn worldwide after the pharmaceutical giant admitted it causes a rare and dangerous side effect. AstraZeneca admitted the claims in court documents lodged in February. Parent company Vaxzevria has come under intense scrutiny in recent months over a rare side effect which causes blood clots and low blood platelet counts.
Ivermectin was a boogeyman early on in COVID.
You couldn't talk about it.
That was wrong. We were given bad information about ivermectin. The real question is why? Everyone's going to say Joe Rogan was right. No, Joe Rogan was saying, yeah, he was right. But that's not what matters. What matters is the entire clinical community knew that ivermectin couldn't hurt you. They knew it, Patrick. I know they knew it. How do I know? Because now I'm doing nothing but talking to these clinicians who at the time were overwhelmed by COVID, and they weren't saying anything.
As a reminder, this is the way Chris Cuomo talked about ivermectin in 2020, as ex-influencer Maze Moore pointed out.
People who are injecting drugs for animals and horse.
And people telling them to. Oh, my God. What person? You talk about cancel culture and who to shame. Ivermectin, a dewormer. Really?
They are shaming themselves. No one has to shame them. They're shaming themselves.
No, they need to be shamed. Yeah. They need to be called out and shamed, brother.
And other conspiracies like the ballot counts in Fulton County, Georgia. Georgia reprimands Fulton County for scanning ballots twice in 2020 recount. The Georgia State Election Board is requiring Fulton County to implement an independent election monitor after an independent investigation found that the county likely scanned thousands of ballots twice in a recount of the 2020 election. Biden won the state by 11,779 votes in the first count, but only 939 more votes. But 939 more votes for Trump were counted in a recount. If there were ballots that were scanned twice, it only amounted to 3,000 votes. State officials confirmed that the election results were legitimate. Now, why are the Democrats and Swampy Republicans doing this? They want one-party rule with no opposition. They didn't allow RFK to have Secret Service.
As far as we can tell, I'm the first candidate in history to be denied Secret Service protection on request. My uncle got Secret Service protection. Teddy got Secret Service protection 441 days out, and he wasn't even running. So President Carter, who he was running against, there was a great personal antipathy between them. And nevertheless, he provided him Secret Service protection. John McCain got it 551 days out. Obama got it 551 days out. Literally, Jesse Jackson, Shirley Chisholm, you go all the way back, John McCain. All of them were given Secret Service protection much farther out than I requested. The excuse that the White House has given that it's not available until 120 days out is just specious, it's dishonest, it's not true.
And they've even tried to remove Secret Service protection from Donald Trump.
A new bill has been introduced in Congress that, if passed, would strip Secret Service protection for convicted felons sentenced to prison. Congressman Benny Thompson proposed that legislation on Friday. It would address the very specific scenario of a Secret Service protectee having to serve time in jail. The proposal is a not-so-subtle dig at Donald Trump and a reminder that none of this is normal.
Now, what does all this mean? It just means to vote. This coming election, vote and bring friends with you.
Okay. What about the mainstream media? Let me read you some mainstream media headlines. The New Yorker, the day before the 2016 election. The case against democracy. The Washington Post, the day after the election. The problem with our government is democracy. The LA Times, June 2017. The British election is a reminder of the perils of too much democracy. Vox, June 2017. The two eminent political scientists say the problem with democracy is voters. New York Times, June 2017. The problem with participatory democracy is the participants. Mainstream media elites are part of a class who don't just disdain populism, they disdain the people. If the Democrats had put half their energy into delivering for the people, Trump wouldn't even have a chance in 2024. He shouldn't have a chance. You've had power for 4 years. From the fabricated Steele dossier to trying to take him off the ballot in both Maine and Colorado, the Democrats are the anti-Democrat party.